Hey guys, this is Inga. Today I just wanted to show you guys kind of, what I make normally at home, just for myself to enjoy. This meal is a little more like me treating myself, but I was making some strawberry milk and curry udon, starting with the strawberries, which I'm just cutting up. And for this bowl of strawberries, I chose to roast them, and I'm just adding in some maple syrup as a sweetener because I kind of like the flavor it adds to it, as well as putting in some salt and lemon. And then I'm just giving them a good toss to make sure that everything's well combined. I like roasting strawberries because I feel like it does give it that extra depth of flavor, and I also had a little more time on hand. For the rest of the strawberries, I just cut them up into little bits, which we will then add into our milk later. And then I just let that sit in the fridge until I was ready to eat. For my curry udon, I pretty much just put in all of the toppings that I really liked, and I also used frozen udon instead because I feel like it gives you a better texture. Usually for stir-fry dishes like this, I use it as an excuse to eat as many vegetables as possible, and I had a lot at home, which is why I kind of went crazy on that. And then I also added in some deep-fried tofu. I think it's called aburaage. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's one of my favorite things. And of course, some shimeji mushrooms, which are my favorite type of mushrooms, and I really stocked up on them this time. And then over here, I'm just beating up some eggs. I like using chopsticks to beat them up. I feel like it's more efficient. But yeah, usually I like making sure that I have all my ingredients prepped and ready before I start cooking. I like cooking my eggs first because what I wanted to do with this was essentially make it into like little strips of eggs, which is why you see this like egg omelet type of situation. And I also did like a terrible flop here. I'm so sorry. And then letting it sit to a side while I start frying up the vegetables. What I love too is that there's a lot of color going on here, which I think makes things more interesting and appetizing. And then I'm also adding in some curry powder. Some mirin, some sake. And then of course these curry blocks that I grew up on, I use them so much. And I'm also adding in some dashi stock, which is a type of fish stock that I like to use in a lot of dishes I make at home. Once it's reduced a little bit, that's when I add in my tofu and then just let it bubble. Of course, taste testing is important, totally not because I was already really hungry. Off to the side, I was preparing the udon and also blanching the bean sprouts. I like rinsing the udon in cold water just because I feel like it gives it a better texture. And then just tossing that into the curry and letting it soak up all that wonderful flavor. again, doing a little taste test. I actually burnt my tongue on this one, but no regrets. Once the udon is done, this is what I like doing with my egg. I like to roll it up and then slice it, so then it gives me these like perfectly thin strips of egg. It's like egg spaghetti. All right, and now it's time for plating. And there it is, my curry udon. Super quick, super simple, and one of my favorite things to eat. Also, before we forget, here are my roasted strawberries. They smelled so amazing. I'm just using a fork to kind of smush them together until they become this beautiful jam. And of course, adding in all my fresh strawberries. And then some whole milk. Topping it off with even more strawberries. This drink is so pretty and it was so good, you guys. You have to try it. But yeah, this was pretty much my biggest meal that day, and I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked watching this too, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!